Hi, I'm Jerry Brown of SativaCom. Along with my partner, Pete Kowalczyk, recently visited Medicine Man. That's one of Colorado's largest, best known, and most successful grow operations and dispensaries. We were there to interview Pete Williams. He's one of the co-founders and the chief operating officer of this family-run business. Before we got to the interview, though, he took us on a tour of the facility. So let me give you a little spoiler alert. If you look at the top of your screen, that's kind of the bottom line of what he said during the interview. Let's take a quick look at some of the things we saw on the tour first, though. Everything begins in this room. These are the so-called mother plants for the 60 varieties of cannabis they grow and sell at Medicine Man. These plants are never allowed to flower. Instead, they serve as the source of cuttings, clones of each variety that are then planted.
And 7 to 10 days later, they'll have roots. And that's when we have to get tags on them. I'm seeing if there's anything with tags here. So every day someone comes in here and finds whatever has tags or has roots, and we put tags on them, and they become a plant that day. If they don't have roots, they're not a plant.
The plants soon graduate from that room and begin their path to maturity. Here are some small plants, medium size. The medium-sized ones you just saw are on the bottom shelf of this. Then they become larger, and those ones on the top shelf there will soon graduate to a room that looks like this. And these rooms are amazingly clean and well organized. Looks like a big pineapple to me. Each plant is looked at and tended to daily. Once the plants have been harvested, they go into the trim room. The big leaves are separated, then the smaller ones, and finally the buds themselves. After being trimmed, the plants are then hung up to dry. From these racks, they go into these buckets for a final drying. They call it burping, and that's the final step before the buds end up in the store, ready for sale. So once the tour was over, we got down to the interview. Here are a few excerpts of what Pete Williams had to say, and the noise you hear in the background are from the fans that blow a lot of air through the grow room where we conducted the interview. So I've heard a number of people who've been growing marijuana for years, probably in their basement or somewhere, who say, I'm an expert at growing. I can start my own grow facility. I'm going to produce the best marijuana possible. Not the same game, is it?
The beginning was a true gold rush. The gold rush is over now, and it's almost to the point where the average person cannot do this anymore, especially in Colorado. The gold rush is over. All the niches have been filled. There are new states opening up, but in those new states, the billionaires, the politicians, and the biggest money in those states are wanting to dominate that gold rush right away. So you think something's going to cost you $1 million, it's going to end up costing you $3 million. You think it's going to take you 6 months to build, it's going to take you 1.5 years to build because of the high standards we're held to. And that's one of the major things is people aren't willing to spend the time and the money to do it properly because they think they can do it, their old way. If you're trying to use old techniques that have been used for the last 20 to 100 years, you're not going to make it. You need to maximize your output and have superior genetics and superior management to even make it in this industry anymore. If you're just a hippie who wants to grow pot, there's not a market for that anymore because you can't do it efficiently enough unless you spend millions of dollars to get started. And you can grow like we're growing here, maximizing your light footprint and getting the maximum results you can. If you're not doing that, your cost of production is going to be too high and you're not going to be able to sell your product cheap enough. We have an SOP, standard operating procedure, for every step of the process. Our process is an industrial process, not a guru process, and that's what sets us and our technology company apart from some of the other tech companies who say, we know how to grow pot, and they do a lot of this talking, then they stick their hand out and they want a lot of money. We don't do that. We show them what we can do and show them the results they can get, show them 5 years of data behind that, and our SOP.
What do you know today that you wish you had known when you were starting?
I wish I'd have known from the beginning the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And we're back to keeping it simple. It's the basics done over the top right with hospital sterile conditions and eyes on the plants.
So somebody thinking about getting into the cannabis business, if they ignore everything else that you've ever said about, or would say to them, what's the one thing you would say to them that they ought to make sure they do or remember?
First of all, don't fight big money. Big money is going to get into the production and the selling of the product. Maybe find a niche market where you are making an edible line or making pipes, or there's a million niche markets that the big money probably won't move into as quickly. But I think in a lot of these states, you're going to be fighting the multi-millionaires. If you don't have a lot of money, it's going to be hard to compete.
So too late to get into the growing business if you're just starting out, unless you've got a lot of money behind you.
Unless you've got political connections and a decent bank account, and decent is multiple millions, maybe $10 million.
So deep pockets to do what you're doing.
Yes, and they're asking us to help them do it. And that's very exciting because our tech company, Medicine Man Technologies, is going to be openly traded on the stock market.
So what have we not talked about that we should have?
It's about making sure you do things right, and this is not something if you have the best intentions on trying to lower prices and turn out good product for your customers, maybe this is an industry for you. But if you're looking to grab some quick cash, it's not for you, because it's not, the profit margins aren't what they used to be.